The name Brad Pitt is synonymous with Hollywood royalty and a string of high-profile romances that have captivated the world for over 30 years.
So is this going to be a really long engagement?
Well, I don't know. I mean, as we just saw in the last round, we're making great strides, and I will admit we've had some pressure from our kids.
We've seen him with co-stars, supermodels, and titans of the industry. But what if the entire narrative we've been sold is wrong? What if the greatest love story of his life wasn't the one played out for the cameras? The actor has finally let it slip, a confession that changes the entire history of his relationships. We are about to uncover the one woman who, after all these years, he admits was his true north, his one real love. After all these years, the name is Team Jen versus Team Angelina. It was the defining celebrity love triangle of a generation, a story with so many twists it made blockbuster movies look tame. But not all things are what they seem. While the world was busy picking sides, a different story was unfolding behind the scenes, a story of quiet regret and a love that never truly went away. The thing nobody tells you is that sometimes the biggest truths are the ones hidden in plain sight, and after years of silence, the truth about Brad Pitt's heart has finally been spoken. Sources close to the actor, now in his 60s, have revealed what many have long suspected but could never prove. Brad Pitt has confessed to his inner circle that Jennifer Aniston was, and perhaps always has been, the love of his life. You see, this isn't just a passing comment or a moment of nostalgia. This is being described as a profound realization, a culmination of decades of soul-searching therapy and personal growth following the explosive end of his relationship with Angelina Jolie. He reportedly sees his time with Jen as the period of his most authentic happiness, a time before the chaos, the global scrutiny, and the pressures of a globe-trotting life with 6 children took their toll. Many people are crazy about the idea that this is a recent development, but insiders claim it's a truth he's been grappling with for years. The evidence, it turns out, has been trickling out. There was the emotional reunion backstage at the Screen Actors Guild Awards in 2020, a moment that sent the internet into a frenzy. The way he watched her acceptance speech, the knowing smiles, the brief but tender touch of their hands. It was more than just a friendly hello between exes. It was, as one source put it, a window into a history that was never fully closed. That single moment generated over 2 million mentions on social media in just a few hours, a testament to the public's undying fascination with their connection. A single photograph of that interaction was valued at over $100,000, a staggering sum for a candid shot. But it goes deeper than a few public encounters. After his split from Jolie, one of the first people he reportedly reached out to was Jen, not for a romantic reunion but to apologize. He took responsibility for his part in the pain their divorce caused, for not being the husband he should have been. This was a man humbled, stripped of the bravado that defined his younger years. It was a gesture that reopened the lines of communication and rebuilt a friendship that many thought was lost forever. He admitted that the pressure to be Hollywood's golden couple created cracks in their foundation long before another woman ever entered the picture. They were two people who genuinely loved each other but were swept up in a whirlwind they couldn't control. The thing is, this quiet rebuilding of trust laid the groundwork for his eventual stunning admission. What he did next shocked everyone, and it has nothing to do with getting back together. More than just a Hollywood marriage. To understand why this confession is such a bombshell, we have to go back to the beginning. The year was 1998. Brad Pitt was the biggest movie star on the planet, and Jennifer Aniston was America's sweetheart, the girl next door everyone adored on the hit show Friends. Their first date was set up by their agents, a classic Hollywood arrangement. But what happened next was anything but typical. The chemistry was instant and undeniable. They were a perfect match, not just in looks, but in their shared sense of humor and their desire for a life that was somehow normal despite their extraordinary fame. Their early years were a whirlwind of secret dates and hidden romance, trying to keep their connection private in a world that demanded to see everything. When they finally went public, they didn't just become a couple, they became an institution. They were the golden couple. Their wedding in the summer of 2000 was the stuff of legends, a $1 million affair at a Malibu estate, complete with a gospel choir, 4 bands, and a fireworks display. It was a fairy tale brought to life, and the world ate it up. They bought a sprawling 12,000 square foot mansion in Beverly Hills for $13 million, a love nest that symbolized their seemingly perfect life. For 5 years, they were the undisputed king and queen of Hollywood. On the surface, it was perfect. But the thing nobody tells you is that even in paradise, there can be trouble. You see, the immense pressure to maintain that perfect image began to create fractures. Every interview, every red carpet appearance came with the inevitable question, when are you having kids? For Jen, who was at the peak of her career with Friends wrapping up, the constant public speculation was a heavy burden. Later, she would describe the narrative that she chose career over children as hurtful and just not true. The reality was far more complex. They were trying to navigate a marriage under a microscope that magnified every tiny flaw. Brad himself would later admit that he spent much of the late 90s hiding out and smoking way too much dope, feeling pathetic and disconnected from his own life. The cracks were there, but they were papered over with smiles for the cameras. Many people are crazy about blaming one single event for their split, but the truth is their foundation was already shaking when Brad walked onto the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2004. He was entering a new phase of his life, restless and looking for something more while she was looking forward to a quieter life after a decade in the relentless spotlight of network television. They were drifting apart, their dreams for the future no longer perfectly aligned. The golden couple was an image, a brand, but the real people inside it were struggling. And that's when the lightning bolt that was Angelina Jolie struck. The storm that followed would redefine celebrity culture forever. When passion turned to war. The story of how Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie got together is one of the most controversial and talked about chapters in modern celebrity history. It began on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a film about a bored married couple who discover they are rival assassins hired to take each other out. The on-screen chemistry between them wasn't just acting, it was electric, palpable, and as it turned out, very real. At the time, both denied that any lines were crossed, while Brad was still married to Jennifer. But the thing nobody tells you is that the emotional connection was already forming. A bond that would soon explode into a full-blown global scandal. When Brad and Jennifer announced their separation in January of 2005, they called it a loving and amicable decision. But just 1 month later, photos emerged of Brad, Angelina, and her young son Maddox on a beach in Kenya. The pictures were splashed across every tabloid cover, confirming the world's suspicions. For Team Jen, it was the ultimate betrayal. For others, it was the beginning of a passionate, epic romance. Brangelina was born, and they instantly became the most famous, most photographed, and most dissected couple on the planet. Their lives were a spectacle, a whirlwind of blockbuster movies, humanitarian missions, and a rapidly growing family. You see, their relationship was intense and all-consuming in a way his marriage to Jennifer never was. They didn't just build a partnership, they built a dynasty. They adopted children from around the world, Zahara from Ethiopia, Pax from Vietnam, and had 3 biological children of their own, Shiloh and twins Knox and Vivian. Their rainbow family of 6 kids became a powerful symbol of a modern global family. They traveled the world not as tourists but as humanitarians, using their immense fame to shine a light on crises in developing nations. Their star power was so immense that the first photos of their newborn twins were sold for $14 million, all of which was donated to their foundation. They were more than a couple, they were a global brand. They finally married in 2014 at their sprawling French estate, Chateau Miraval, in a private ceremony with only their children in attendance. It seemed like the fairy tale had reached its happy ending, but not all things are what they seem. Behind the united front, the pressures of managing their massive careers, 6 children, and the constant glare of the public eye were creating deep fissures. The intensity that had brought them together was now tearing them apart. The final straw came during a now infamous flight on a private jet in 2016, where an alleged altercation took place between Brad and one of their children. Days later, Angelina filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and requesting sole physical custody of the children. The Brangelina storm had made landfall, and the aftermath was a bitter public and incredibly messy legal war that would drag on for years, tarnishing the very legacy they had built. His world had collapsed, and in the ruins, he began to see his past differently. Finding love on the silver screen. Long before Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie, before he was the king of Hollywood, Brad Pitt was a young, ambitious actor from Missouri trying to make it in a town that chews people up and spits them out. And his romantic life then set a pattern that would define him for years to come. Intense, passionate, and often intertwined with his work. You see, Brad Pitt has a history of falling for his leading ladies, of blurring the lines between the characters he plays and the life he lives. It's a habit that started early and hinted at a man who was searching for a connection that felt as real and as dramatic as the stories he was telling on screen. His first major Hollywood relationship was with Juliette Lewis, his co-star in the gritty films Too Young to Die and California. She was just a teenager and he was in his late 20s. Their 4-year relationship from 1989 to 1993 was raw and bohemian. He later called it one of the greatest relationships he'd ever had, a formative experience that was about trying to find yourself. It was a relationship built away from the spotlight, a last taste of anonymity before he became a global superstar. The breakup, he said, was just a natural part of growing up, but it established his on-set romance pattern. Then came Gwyneth Paltrow. They met on the set of the dark thriller Seven in 1995, and their romance was the opposite of his time with Juliette. This was a high-profile, glamorous affair. He was now a certified heartthrob, and she was Hollywood royalty. They were the it couple of the mid-90s. He even called her his angel and the love of my life in his Golden Globes acceptance speech. They got engaged and a wedding seemed inevitable. But the thing nobody tells you is that the pressure of being half of a power couple can be crushing. Gwyneth, only in her early 20s, broke off the engagement, admitting she just wasn't ready for that level of commitment. She later said her father was devastated because he had come to love Brad like a son. The split was a harsh lesson for Pitt about the perils of love in the public eye. These early relationships are crucial because they show a man constantly searching. With Juliette, it was a search for identity. With Gwyneth, it was an attempt at a sophisticated A-list partnership. Many people are crazy about thinking his life is just one big movie, but these were real heartbreaks that shaped him. These weren't just flings. They were deep connections that ended, leaving him to pick up the pieces and figure out what he truly wanted. Each relationship taught him something new about himself and about what he needed in a partner. He was learning, growing, and making mistakes on the world stage, all of which led him to the doorstep of Jennifer Aniston, a woman who seemed to offer the one thing he hadn't found yet, a sense of normalcy and genuine, down-to-earth partnership. But even that sense of normal couldn't prepare him for the life that was to come. Is this a genuine, heartfelt admission from a man who's finally figured it all out, or is it just a case of looking at the past through rose-colored glasses? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite stories.